World Championship.
Extends the hand. There it is. John Finkel wins the most amazing game ever.
Oh my God, he repealed into the third ritual.
Oh! 2 8s and a 9. Gabriel Nassif does it.
Look at his hand there. He's just like tense. Do you have
That's the game!
Unbelievable.
Oh, he was! And at 19, Shahar Shenhar is king of the world.
double siege? Seth Canfield is the champion.
It's incredible. I did not expect this at all.
Finds a forest, and that's it. Ryan Brown Doohan is your world champion. Congratulations to Jensen.
I've been doing this for 20 years. It's been a lot of time and a lot of hard work.
Las Vegas, Nevada. Welcome along to day 2 of our World Championship. In Sin City, the sins of the past are forgiven overnight, and with each new dawn in the desert, the chance of possibility and hitting the jackpot and making it big. It's time to create your own version of Magic history as we welcome you inside our studio for day 2 of our 3 days of glorious gaming here from Las Vegas, Nevada. Rich Hagan alongside Maria Bartholdi and Paul Cheon welcoming you to the weekend of our World Championship coverage. We had a massively awesome day yesterday. Maria, what did you take away from day number 1?
I loved watching Ken Yukihiro play that mono blue deck, Rich. I mean, it's so unique, and he's the only person here in the field playing with it, and he crushed with it.
Yeah, 3-1 in standard there. And Paul, that was a record that perhaps a lot of the other players wouldn't have expected Ken to put up with that deck.
Yeah, especially after the way he was kind of dismantled in the first round of this of Standard. He just rattled together 3 straight wins with the deck, which is proof that, first of all, he's a master, and secondly, the deck is not a joke.
Well, let's find out how the players did yesterday by taking a look at our leaderboard. Who is leading the way as we head into day number 2? All right, taking a look at this, Paul, what stands out to you?
So Javier Dominguez, runner-up at the World Championships last year, and with an incredibly strong finish at 6-1, and I believe even William Huey Jensen tweeted out, "I am not surprised in the least that he is again at the top of the leaderboards." And then moving on, Grzegorz Kowalski at 6-1. Just with that interview yesterday, I mean, this guy just lives and breathes Magic, just plays all the time. And then if you notice, there's just a ton of players sitting at 5-2, 4-3, 3-4. So within that mix, I think it's just anybody's game there.
Right. Okay. So those are the 23 players gearing up for day 2, but it's a pretty complex 3 days overall. So why don't we take a look at our schedule and format for the World Championship here in 2018. Yesterday was day 1, and our players came in and they began by drafting 3 rounds of Dominaria, one of those most popular draft formats of all time, switching at lunchtime to standard 75 cards, 60 in the main, 15 in the board, 4 rounds standard constructed. Now we open up day 2. It's going to be the same again, which means our players are sitting down right this minute to get ready to draft Dominaria once again. And then it's back to standard in the afternoon, and it will be that on Sunday to determine the title. But speaking of Sunday, tomorrow it's not just about the individual world title. It is the finale of our team series, and Guilds of Ravnica takes center stage in the morning. Can't wait to see the new set in action before the top 4 individual, best 3 out of 5 in standard constructed. $102,000 to the winning team in the Team Series Championship, $51,000 to the finalists. And then in our World Championship, 6 figures to the winner, all the way down to $2,500 for just taking part. That is the shape of our World Championship coverage over 3 days, and we are back for the start of day 2 right now.
Yeah, everybody's been saying how incredibly high the standard is here. Every single round is like playing in the top 8 of a Pro Tour. But who is playing? Let's meet the players. there you have it, some of the absolute best players in the world. Paul, who do you have your eye on heading into day 2 here?
Well, I think this person has a lot of fans, but I have my eye on Ken Yukihiro. Can he continue to run it up and make the top 4 with just an incredibly unique deck? You know, we're talking about a field here where more than half the people are playing red-black Chain Whirler, and Ken Yukihiro opts to come in with a mono-blue Slitherblade deck. And it'll be, you know, just the story. Imagine if he just wins the entire tournament with the triple-colored creature that nobody thought was actually going to be the one that's going to come out on top in this tournament.
Yeah, Chain Whirler, no. Tempest Djinn, yes.
Yeah, that's a good picture.
All right, well, BDM is standing by to give us some more information about some of the players at the top of our leaderboard.
Thanks, Maria. We have 2 co-leaders in the tournament. We're going to start off by talking about Grzegorz Kowalski. This is someone who, as Paul mentioned, has been living and breathing Magic. I was talking to him yesterday off camera. I was commenting on how much his English had improved since the last time we did an interview. And he said, you know what? If you spend 27 weekends a year playing in competitive Magic events, hanging out with American Magic players and play testing. You know, this is a guy who's had the opportunity to work with the Channel Fireball team. He said, your English is going to get really good. And he's also gotten really good at Magic. He's playing in his first World Championship. This is the first time he's been Platinum. And he really reminds us a lot of last year's finalist, Javier Dominguez. And let's take a look at him. This is someone we had a chance to do an interview with before the tournament, described himself kind of laughably to me as a casual Magic player. This is someone who also has just been playing a ton of Magic. He's returned to the World Championship. He made it as far as the finals last year. And, you know, really just, again, yeah, William Huey Jensen tweeting, you know, not surprised to see him at the top of the standings. That is as good an endorsement as a Magic player can get. You know, those are the 2 6-1s. If you go a little bit back down in the standings, there's a whole bunch of people, you know, who are in really good shape. One of those players is someone we didn't talk to much yesterday, the Hall of Famer, Ben Stark, at 5-2. He was not feeling well. We kind of like, you know, we're keeping our distance on the germs, but also giving him a chance to recover. He's not going to be able to avoid us today. So that's some of the players at the top of the standings.
Thanks very much to BDM there. Yeah, watch out for Ben Stark, 5-2 overnight. That's on track for a top 4. We reckon 10-4 for sure. 9-5, that's where you start looking at tie breaks. 8-6, you're going to have to be really lucky for the door to be squeezed open to make it in there. But the players are sitting down out in our feature match area, and we have a featured table of drafters waiting for us. So let's take a look down on the floor for the first time and get a sense of where the big names sit. This is draft table 1, and you've got Brian Brown doing at 4-3 in seat 1. Javier Dominguez, our co-leader, at 6-1 in seat 2. Then there's Marcio Carvalho, a finalist in 2016, in seat 3 at 5-2. Ken Yukihiro, you'll see every pick of his draft in the company of Maria and Paul in a little while. Then there's Ben Stark, we've just heard from, at 5-2. Mike Sigrist is one of the 4-3s at this table. John Rolfe, also 4-3. And we are going to start with our live draft, and that's going to be Grzegorz Kowalski at 6-1. So that is the shape of the table. There it is. You see the 2. There is Kowalski sitting next to John Rolfe, another in the Haruyu shirt. Javier Dominguez, always smiling, it seems, near us on the right-hand side of the table. What are in those packs? That's the question. We know it's Dominaria. What are you looking to open? We're certainly going to see some really great action in the draft. So it looks like the players are just about ready. Paul, what are we looking forward to in this draft? Big, powerful uncommons. Is that where you tend to start when you're looking?
Yeah, I mean, first I sift through the commons, make sure there's I didn't forget to see a Skittering Surveyor. That's, you know, the mythic common that we talk about. And then afterwards, we do look at the powerful uncommons, you know, kind of the hallmarks of the format, like, you know, the gold cards. Those are incredibly powerful. The sagas, especially the Eldest Reborn, we got to see that do a ton of work yesterday. And I mean, those are the cards that are basically very close to rares in terms of power level, and those are the cards I'm looking out for.
All right, so the players are seated, the packs are waiting to be opened. They can wait no longer. It's time for the Day 2 draft here at the World Championships.
Hello there, welcome back to the booth here at the Magic World Championship. I'm Marcel Sutcliffe, that's Simon Gertzen. Thanks so much for coming along as we get to give you coverage now of the booster draft here on day number 2, and it is, of course, Dominaria, a fan favorite, to say the least, Simon.
Maybe the final highest level Dominaria draft we will ever cover.
Well, I consider the drafts I do at home with my friends as very high level. This one's perhaps slightly higher. We're going to be getting a chance to watch Grzegorz Kowalski go, and I had a quick look at, we asked the players a bunch of questions before. His favorite draft format is triple Khans of Tarkir. This is actually a somewhat similar deal. Both of them can be multicolored. Both of them can be pretty slow. I think that Grzegorz is going to be right at home here in Dominaria draft. A lot of different directions to go for Grzegorz once he gets going. We will be right down there with him. And what do you want to open here, Simon?
I want to see Tatyova.
Oh, God, I love that. Great answer. Everybody has a different answer in this format, which is one of the things that makes it so great. It's very diverse. There's a lot of strategies that you can deploy and also win with. Tatyova, a worthy choice to say the least. All right, we are underway here in our draft. Let's see what Grzegorz has. Well, really get a great look, but I do see he's got Sergeant at Arms pulled to the front, perhaps.
Not a spectacular pack.
Wow, this pack looks bad.
Divination, Merfolk Trickster.
Trickster I like a lot, Simon.
Me too. It's double blue, so it is a heavy commitment to blue, but the fact that you can just start off with a very powerful 2-drop is not bad. You wouldn't first pick Divination, would you?
No. And I love Divination.
Me too, but only when I'm really in control.
That's right. So Merfolk Trickster, a versatile card. It can be used defensively. It can be used offensively, adding a body to your board and taking out a blocker on the other side. It can help swing a race in your direction. All right, Greg's on his second pack, and he's been past an Eviscerate. There's also a Tempest Djinn and a Time of Ice, but boy, I have Eviscerate really high in the format. You just always need those.
But if you first pick a Merfolk Trickster, isn't the triple blue card what you want to follow?
Really tempting. It really is tempting.
Tempesting. I would go with the Djinn. Like, this is the World Championships. You wanna go big.
I actually agree with you, Simon. I think you're right. I think you just go big. Now, I don't blame Grzegorz for taking the Eviscerate here. That is sort of the most baseline pick that you can make. But boy, sometimes you got to swing for the fences in these high-level tournaments. You need all the power you can.
Yeah, for me, this is a bit too conservative. It's a good pick. It's good drafting that we see, but it's I don't know if it's really going for maximum power level.
That's right. Now there is a Grun the Lonely King in the pack, and that's a card that Grzegorz, of course, is going to be interested in, though he is leaning towards the type of deck that, to be honest with you, I like to play. This is some combination of Sultai colors is kind of where I want to be, generally speaking, in the format. There is a lot of mana fixing. There's a lot of inevitability. You get access to great creatures, good removal spells, and everything in between.
Staying super open here.
And here's a good payoff for it, too. And no, I'm not talking about Kazarov. I'm talking about Deathbloom Thallid. That is the type of card that makes it very difficult for any ground game to get you dead. It has a lot of utility.
I agree with you that the 3-drop is the better pick here. There are actually 2 powerful 7-drops available, and I think Kowalski was debating to take the Vampire here, but you really don't want to have a clunky deck with too many 6 and 7-drops.
That's right. Sometimes getting that mountain in there can be difficult as well if you're going to be 3 colors anyway. All right, there's a Juggernaut and a Fungal Infection that kind of stand out to me out of this pack. Baird's a pretty good card too. Sylvan Awakening, I'm not interested in that one.
No, I like Fungal Infection, especially the first one. You don't want to have 2 or 3 in your main deck, but it's actually a very solid card.
It really is. Yeah, it overperforms for just a 1-mana spell. Actually quite versatile. You wouldn't think so.
And Juggernaut is not as good in this format as it has been in others.
That's true.
I think it's too easy to block it, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of funny because Kowalski just took Deathbloom Thallid, the natural predator of the Juggernaut. And not a whole lot out of this pack. He could take an Adventurous Impulse, but that's a low-impact card, not something he's going to be super excited about. One card that he may be interested in is actually Arcane Flight. That can occasionally find its way onto a turtle and become a win condition. But yeah, he's just going to go for the Impulse here.
Yeah. So, not just to repeat, we started off with a double blue card, but then Kowalski saw the Eviscerate, took it as a sign that black might be open, got a green card, and then really solid black commons with the Thallid and the Fungal Infection. So
yeah, now a Soul Salvage too, Simon.
I think he has really just easily positioned himself to be most likely a black-green drafter, but it can still go in various ways.
Yeah, he's going to pick up that first Soul Salvage. You mentioned this when you talked about the Fungal Infection. You know, the first copy of some of these cards is so important. Just having access to a Soul Salvage in your deck is so critical. The second one, you know, less important.
No, and what we call that is diminishing returns in the end. If you draw the second or the third one, the impact, the relative impact is just much lower.
Right. But the first one is, I mean, that's one of the better cards. It's just one of the cards.
Or even worse, if the first one is bad, then the second and third one is terrible.
Yes. Yes. Hopefully you avoid that first one in that case. Stronghold Confessors to pick up here for Kowalski. That's filler in a deck like this. It's not particularly important. Ooh, I like a Broken Bond here.
Yeah, he's taking Gift of Growth here, which can be a solid main deck card. I'm with you there. I would prefer the good sideboard card over something that's just not very exciting.
Yeah, it goes to that diminishing returns that you mentioned a minute ago. The first Broken Bond's worth a lot. Here's a guy's Protector that he's pulled to the front, though I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't end up playing that in his main deck. That card has not performed up to snuff, in my opinion. I do like a Voltaic Servant, though. I'm taking that, I think. This is getting interesting, though. Now he has two of them, plus he has the Pump Spell.
Maybe put an aura on it or an equipment.
Maybe we'll see him kind of go off with Gaia's Protector. I haven't really been the victim of that. Arbor Armament, fine. Another combat trick. Guess you just take a Blessing of Bells and Lock here, because maybe you'll play it?
Dub is the more playable card, so it was really about whether you don't want to send a black card to the left neighbor.
Oh, look at that. I've never seen anybody do that before. So he laid them out by color and then put the ones he's not interested in at the back. Or maybe he just did it by casting cost, actually. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. And now he just gets a nice clean look at what he's working with here. You said it early in the pack there, Simon. You thought he was going to be in green-black. That looks like exactly what's happening here.
Yep. And you can see that he was rewarded for this flexibility. If you go with the higher variance pick of Tempest Gen, second pack, you are relying on blue being open to your right.
Yeah, wouldn't have worked out well for him.
No, it wouldn't have worked out well. And this way, he had a good idea that black was open. I think the Lonely King third pick is also quite a good sign. Ground there, you see it. No, this is solid. Not spectacular. I'm not super excited about the beginning of this deck, but now if everything goes according to plan, you're actually getting rewarded for cutting black-green to your left, and it's clearly open from the right.
And he was cutting very hard. I mean, we saw him taking those guys' protectors and stuff. He was sending no green cards going to the left. Now, obviously, one of the cards that jumps to mind here is Slimefoot the Stowaway for a deck like this. Let's see if he can't rip himself a Slimefoot. That would be nice. There's others, too. The best card in the format, Voltani.
Yeah, but also at the common level, a Thallid Omnivore, Sapling Migration, nothing that Kowalski would be unhappy to see.
Yeah, of course, just another copy of Eviscerate would be fine. There's a lot of good stuff, but boy, he'd love to pick up one of those premium cards here. Let's see if he can rip one. So much on the line here. Every match counting towards your final tally, trying to make the top 4. And it is a tough sell. I mean, it's only 4 slots. It's like pretty brutal. So it's really interesting to put yourself in the shoes of Gregor's here. Oh, no. Ooh! Hello, my friend. Wow, what a pack here for Kowalski. He's got an Eviscerate. There is a Thallid Omnivore, but the best card, The Eldest Reborn.
Yeah, we actually mentioned both of these comments, but The Eldest Reborn is on another level, and Kowalski doesn't hesitate at all.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so jealous right now. I love that card, Simon. Boy, this is a nice pack, although I don't think he's going to get anything super great back, is he?
I don't think that these 2 black cards are going to be in the pack.
Yeah, I think he's going to get a Voltaic Servant or something, or whatever that artifact was.
Even if there weren't 2 other black drafters, which is highly unlikely, there isn't enough in the pack to not have somebody just defensively drafted.
All right, here we go. Okay, a Knight of Malice, that's fine. Sure, so he'll pick up a solid 2-drop here, it looks like. Not exciting, though, right? This isn't the type of card that, you know, like the last pick, that was exciting.
Yeah, so it seems like in Dominaria, a lot of the packs are kind of like this. It's not, you know, 5 broken cards and you just pick the best one. It's more about positioning yourself, finding the cards that are going to be good in your archetype, being very aware of your curve as well. And Knight of Malice is a card that Kowalski is happy with, but at the same time, it doesn't check all the boxes. It's not like this is the card he needs for black-green Saprolings.
Yeah. But a solid, powerful 2-drop for Grzegorz as he picks that one up. So let's see what he can get here. This is where he's looking to still just pick up the most powerful. Oh, there's a Tatyova. This is going to get interesting. Wait, is that Phyrexian Scriptures?
It is.
Oh, man.
And Phyrexian Scriptures without having to splash.
That's incredible. That's now the best card in his whole deck.
Has to be better than Tatyova.
Oh, by a lot, right?
I don't think it's close. If you're already in black-green, the two black is just so much better than splashing blue.
Do you consider this a reward for him having cut his colors effectively?
Absolutely. I mean, you just compare it to the first pack, where you would never get Phyrexian Scriptures that late.
Boy, that's incredible. There's a Saproling Migration and a Deathbloom Thallid for him to choose from. This is probably a curve pick. On average, I have the Deathbloom Thallid a little higher than the Migration, but the flexibility on the Migration is nice. Oh, and a Jousting Lance was hiding at the back.
You know who can carry a Jousting Lance?
Who's that?
The Garrus Protector.
Oh, you're right. He could combo off. All right, he's going to go for the lower cost, but more flexible option as well with Saproling Migration. So a good pickup there.
I think that's the right pick.
Agree.
I was joking about the lands. It was between the 2 Saproling cards, but he already has a Thallid, and he can really make good use of a Saproling Migration.
Bit of a brick on this pack here. He's just going to pick up a Llanowar Scout.
Well, he likes Gift of Growth, so...
He does. You're right, he does. This is probably just a curve pick. One of them, you know, an actual play on turn 2, the other one not.
I'm not so sure how much he really needs the ability of the Llanowar Scout. It's mostly just a 2-mana 1/3.
Right. Yeah, yep. I consider it like living a very real dream when I get to put a land into play with the Scout. It usually means I'm flooding out those. So.
Feels like victory, moral victory.
Now, if you've ever had that going with Tatyova, that's a different story.
Oh yeah,
that
absolutely.
Feels like raw power level.
The Pro Tour I won with basically forcing Walking Atlas decks, the original Llanowar Scout. So I've been in this business of putting extra lands onto the battlefield for a long time.
You did not have Tatyova though at that point, so you were really roughing it. We got it easy now, don't we?
It's a different world, Marshall.
He took a Krosan Druid, a perfectly playable 3-drop there. Oh, a Fungal Plots.
So Fungal Plots, I love this card.
You love this card?
I think it's just underrated. And then I know other people are like not so high on it because it does cost quite a bit of mana, time. You need things to go your way. But I think if it gets going, certain matchup it just dominates.
Yeah, it can absolutely dominate. It also works well with some of the cards in his colors. Like if he can pick up a Windgrace Acolyte, that's a good card for Fungal Plots, for example.
It does have pretty bad synergy with Soul Salvage, I have to say that.
It does. And this would be his second Soul Salvage if he takes it, and I don't really see another choice for him here.
So something that I like to do in Limited is really to evaluate cards based on their maximum potential. So I see these matchups where Fungal Plots is just amazing. And then in the worst case, you're just going to cycle it effectively, and it's still a decent card to have. You want Saplings anyway. So
this is the pack that he opened. He did wheel that Servant, but he ended up taking a second Llanowar Scout.
Yeah, but of course not Eviscerate or Thalit Omnivore.
Right, those are the prizes, but even the most chipper optimist, I don't think, would assume that those were going to come back. He's going to pick up an Amaranthine Wall, but we're just down the stretch here on pack number 2 here on the second and final booster draft of our tournament. And things are going quite well, I'd say, for Kowalski. His power level's right there. You know, this isn't one of those dreams, but boy, getting that Phyrexian Scriptures is exactly what the doctor ordered. And then also his uncommons are quite strong too. So I like where he's at a lot.
Me too. The Scriptures are the payoff from pack 2, but also his deck is looking more rounded now that we are 2 packs in. I like the curve, some removal, good ground defense, which is of course not really a problem for the black-green Saproling deck. And then he has to really consider, because this is, I think, one of the things that make a Dominaria draft so interesting. If you draft the archetypical black-green Saproling deck, you are just aware that there are certain matchups that you need to have even main deck cards for, just so to shore up these matchups where flyers and evasive creatures are really some of your problems.
I do find this interesting how Gregor's lays out by curve, and then he's also being a little picky, right? He's laying out the cards that I think he either knows he's going to play or is assuming he's going to play, and leaving the other ones in his
or rather
other
wants
pile.
to play. I think
Sure.
it's we see a lot of players that say, okay, I have now these 20 cards that could be in my deck, but Kowalski is going from the other direction and says, which cards do I really want in my deck? Because that should dictate what I still want to pick up. It is important to have a perspective on both of these things, of course.
Oh boy, those sagas he has at 4 and 5 are absolutely devastating.
That is those actually have the potential to crush some opponents on their own. Even have some really nice synergy. If you have a pseudo wrath effect in Phyrexian Scriptures, the Edict of the Eldest Reborn becomes even more interesting.
It really does, yeah. They wait in with their big 6-drop in hand until your Phyrexian Scriptures goes to chapter number 2, then they play it and you just get them. You also can get back stuff that's died from it. It's just fantastic. Okay, this is pack number 3 coming for Grzegorz Kowalski as we move into the final pack of the draft. Oh boy, Daragaz reincarnated. There's also a Yavimaya Sapherd. He has not seen any fixing, no Grow from the Ashes in sight at all for this draft. Yet.
I don't think you can justify
go big here, right?
Of course, you cannot justify picking Yavimaya Sapherd or Fungal Infection over Daragaz. You're also shipping Daragaz to one of your opponents at this table.
Of course. That is something that we should keep in mind here, is that we are drafting in pod. So if you're used to drafting, say, on Magic Online where you're playing a league, this is a little different. You're going to be playing against these players. So if you send Daragaz reincarnated out into the world, it may come back to bite you later.
And it's really difficult for you to deal with if you can't exile it. And Kowalski, even if he was 0% to play it, there might be a there might be a consideration to pick it. But he's definitely has
wow. This is really interesting. So you and I just mentioned Grow from the Ashes as a card that we just hadn't even seen a copy of yet. But you said yet. And boy, you proved right about that, because the very next pack he gets one, but he has other powerful options with Saproling Migration number 2, Grun the Lonely King, and Mending of Dominaria, all on color, all good in his deck. But at this point, Grow looks fantastic with the Daragaz, and he already has a copy of Grun plus the Saproling Migration on the top end.
He doesn't need more top end, and he knows that. And he knows that we've seen him. Curve is one of the key things for him. He sorts by curve. He looks at what cards do I have in my deck. And he understands that Grow from the Ashes will work with his deck as it is, but also now he has the support for Dariga. So it's all working out great for him.
I wouldn't be surprised if he just took this Goblin Barrage at this point. He's already now thinking, okay, I'm going to be splashing for a red. That's a perfectly good removal spell to splash.
I'm looking for alternatives. Crows and Druid.
Why?
Can be fine. Oh, you're just going heavy red now?
No, I just want to play these 2 really good red cards off of my Grow from the Ashes.
So my rule is that I usually want 1 source more than the number of cards I'm splashing. So for Goblin Barrage and Darigas, I would want 3 red sources, which means Grow from the Ashes and 2 Mountains, which is doable. And Darigas is a very late card that requires red very late on.
Now he has a Sap Herd versus Grow pick again.
No, there's a cost to picking too many Grow from the Ashes, which is you still need you still want 17 mana sources, 17 lands. So you're gonna have to juggle those mana sources.
Yeah, so he's gonna keep it a little more conservative here. Just take the Avamaya Sap Herd rock solid 3-drop common for his deck, and pass the second copy of Grow.
I think this is correct. You don't want to Grow from the Ashes unless your deck is really heavily built towards the late game. And,
looks like, wait a minute. Wow, he's going to get another shot at either Grun or Mending of Dominaria, just like that other pack.
Deja vu, yeah. We've seen that pack almost exactly.
Now, the second Grun, of course, does have a little bit of diminishing returns in that it is legendary, but also, you kind of have to kill it. So
I think I don't mind legendary 10/10s.
Right.
Yeah, I think this pack is just, one of these cards is good but fancy, and the other one is just good.
Right, and the thing to remember here with the Mending of Dominaria also is that he already has 2 copies of Soul Salvage, so if he wants to get value from his graveyard, he can do so.
He isn't really concerned about the late game.
Right. Boy, I love how Gregor's has drafted this, by the way. I am really impressed. Every pick, he has been disciplined, but made, very smart, reasoned picks, and you can piece together what his logic is at every juncture.
I think you're also describing Gregor just in general. He's a very rational, thoughtful player. You can
that
tell.
Spider's nice, by the way.
I like that Spider a lot.
Wow, what a really that's like a low key, really good pickup for him.
That's what he was missing.
Yes,
that's where I was like, okay, what if he plays against a deck with a lot of flyers, maybe some evasive blue-red wizards and Mammoth Spider. You can sideboard it. You don't have to play it in the main deck, but a 3/5 reach for 5 is very good rate.
Yeah. I like picking up a second Croson Druid here. This is the type of card that you can leverage in the late game to bring yourself back if you've fallen behind an aggressive deck.
Also, in certain matchups, you're just happy either to have a 3-mana 2/3 or that extra life gain. Not even reading Thran Temporal Gateway to put Darigas into play. Invoke the Divine.
Yeah.
Is he trying to protect some of his cards?
Yeah, his Phyrexian Scriptures probably.
Oh, he has Phyrexian Scriptures, the Eldest Reborn, and the Sap Rolling Generation.
Yeah, the Fungal Plots.
Fungal Plots.
Yeah. So it makes sense. Because, the real problem with the Phyrexian Scriptures is you do your whole entire game plan around it, and if they interrupt it, it's like, whoops, you've probably traded off in spots you wouldn't normally have done so. You've let things resolve or live longer than you normally would. And so he's going to cut that. And again, that's really important for these type of in-pod play. Blessing of Bells Unlocked to kind of finish things up here for Kowalski with just a couple of picks left in the draft. But I have to say, if I'm sitting in his seat, I'm saying thumbs up. I did it. I'm very, very happy with this draft. It's very powerful. It's very consistent. It has a great top end. It's unlikely to lose a ground game. The one thing that I would feel slightly better about is that he is leaning on Phyrexian Scriptures pretty hard here. Remember, he just has the 1 copy of Eviscerate. He didn't pick up any Vicious Offering, right? He has very little in the way of I just need to kill this one creature type thing. Eldest Reborn is very powerful, But it doesn't necessarily kill the thing that you need to kill at every juncture.
No, actually, most of the time it doesn't. So, but what you can do here, when Gregor goes to deck building, he knows about this issue, if we want to call it that, because his deck is great. He can just play the creatures that act as pseudo removal spells. You play the creatures that are just there to trade with the ground creature. You play the mammoth spider if you're concerned about the flyers, and that way. I think his deck is actually phenomenal. If he builds it correctly, probably the 2-3 red sources that we mentioned, and then he should be very well set up for the next 3 rounds.
Yeah, any of his opponents who are planning on attacking him on the ground, I feel pity for. But the air game may be able to get there. That's perhaps his only weakness. And it's not even that strong of a weakness at that. So that's going to do it for our Grzegorz Kowalski draft, where we will have another featured drafter to watch at our news wall after these messages.
Up your game with Ultra Pro Magic the Gathering accessories.